friends! I'm so tickled to see you here today. We are going to be taking cabbage and turning it into sauerkraut. So last week we talked all about fermentation, why we want to ferment things, and what the uses and benefits, some of the foods that you can ferment, and we made pickles, which I will show you how those are coming along. So today we are going to make sauerkraut. That's what everybody's requested, is that we do that next. So if you are joining us on the replay, you'll want to take a couple minutes and fast forward through as we get computers all set up and get the live chat up and running and say hello to everyone. And if you are here live, I would love to hear if you are fermenting anything right now, what the weather's like and where you're viewing from. So hello, so happy you all are here. Today Todd is on vacation, so I have Jesse here, which is always a treat. So I hope that Todd has a wonderful day, and thank you, Jesse, for being here as the moderator. All right, so we made pickles last week, and these are the pickles. Hi Tracy, I'm happy you're here. So we took all of these fresh, put them in the jar. This is a week later. We'll open them up and taste them by the end of the show. But I just had to show you, they turned out really good, and we're super, super excited about them. So today we're going to be making sauerkraut. Hello Cynthia, hello Jessica, hello Annette. So happy you're here. We've got Alaska, Canada, and they're saying it's starting to feel like autumn. So I've noticed that the days are getting noticeably shorter here in Idaho, and that you can tell that fall is on its way. So we're still having really nice warm daytime temperatures, and our nighttime temperatures are even hanging, upper 40s, low 50s, which for my garden is a dream. So hopefully this holds on for a little bit. So, alrighty. Hello Marie, it's so nice to see you here. My neighbor, I've talked a lot about his garden this year because that's what most of the vegetables that we're harvesting are coming out of his garden, as we go over and we help him work and weed and take care of things and harvest things. So he gave me this big, beautiful cabbage, and I'm so excited to turn it into sauerkraut today. So I'm going to take a second and pull the chat up on my computer over here, so that I can see what's going on and that I don't hopefully miss anything. All right. So holler at me, babe, if there's something I need to know.
Okay.
All right. Almost got it. Now, some of you guys asked for supply lists and stuff so that we could do this together. I hope that you are all, oops, I didn't mute it. I hope that everybody who wanted to do this with me is here. If not, then watch the video and then go get your supplies and then come back and we can do it together again. So, all right. Hello Cindy, I'm so happy you're here. Sorry that I have to turn away. I don't have room on my little stand here for the computer and this gigantic cabbage. Hi Suze. Okay, so let's recap on the benefits of fermenting and why we do it. So if you didn't catch last week's, then we'll give you a quick recap, and if you want to know more in-depth information about it, you can go catch that. So first of all, hi Mom. Fermenting, the reason that we ferment is because right now this cabbage is a beautiful live living cabbage. It's full of vitamins and minerals, and if we take it and we pressure can it, we're going to lose a lot of those. So when we can things, there are a lot of benefits to canning, and I will do a lot of it before this year is over with, but you need to do some other methods of preservation as well to make sure that through the winter time you have all of those vitamins and minerals. And then the amazing thing about fermenting is not only do you have those, but you also have probiotics. So we are going to be creating those little probiotics that you have in things like yogurt or kimchi, sauerkraut, any of those kind of things are going to be full of probiotics. And what those probiotics do is they go down and they feed your body. So those probiotics will actually produce more vitamins and minerals. They'll produce vitamins and minerals that are not originally in the food and feed your body those things. And then if you fill your body full of beneficial bacteria, then you're going to have a stronger immune system and you're going to have a healthy balance in your gut of good bacteria and bad bacteria. The majority of the people in the US right now, and I will include myself in this, is probably out of balance in the way that we have more bad bacteria than we do good bacteria. And that causes, it causes cravings, it causes you to be nutrient deficient, and it can cause breakdowns in the barrier and in the lining of your gut. So that's one of the reasons that we ferment and why it's so important. So we want to keep it live, we want to create and grow these beneficial bacteria, and then we want to increase the nutrition of this wonderful, nutritious food. So, all right, we got a busy chat today. This is super fun. Thank you guys. I'm so happy that you're here, and it's great to see you all jibber jabbering with each other. Is there anything that I need to know before I move on?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so now that we have an overview of why we want to ferment, let's talk about how we ferment. So we are going to take this giant cabbage, which is one of the little ones over in his garden, and we're going to cut it all up and show you how to do this because it couldn't be simpler. Last week we had to have grape leaves and various things to go in our pickles, and there was a lot of discussion about that. So everybody wanted to know, okay, what kind of things do I need for this week? You need a cabbage and you need salt, and that's about it. It's so simple. Speaking of salt, babe, can you grab one of the ones that we bought? I forgot to grab my salt out. Got everything else out and ready. So we're gonna start by cutting up the cabbage. Yeah, one of those. Thank you. Okay, before we start cutting, let's talk about the salt. This is a sea salt. I also use real salt. You do not want to use iodized salt. So anything that's not iodized will work. But if you think about it, you're creating this food that you want to really nourish and protect your body and feed your body. So let's give it something that is mineral rich and something that we can really use, that our body can really take advantage of, and not just straight sodium. So here's just a Mediterranean sea salt. My bottle has gone through a few wars, but real salt is something I love. You can get some Himalayan sea salt, pink salt, whatever it is you want. But get something that's not been stripped of all of its healthy minerals and make sure anything else that you don't have any kind of iodized salt. That's the thing. You just absolutely want to stay away from that.
You already asked if you use Himalayan salt.
I don't, because this is almost local to us. It comes out of Utah, and it's the same thing. It's pink. It's hard to tell in this lighting, but it's pink and full of minerals. So that's what we use. And I like the fact that it's produced just south of us a little bit, and it's full of the same kind of minerals that you would get from a Himalayan salt. So I feel like they're comparable. Alrighty. So now we're going to go ahead and cut this up. I'm going to go ahead and readjust the camera for just a few minutes, and then we'll put it back up. Okay, so you guys can see what's going on here. Alright, now we have a bit of a monster, so I'm going to break it down into pieces that I can actually get a hold of. Now you can see I have a mandolin slicer here. That's what I prefer to use because it's easy for me and because it'll slice them all approximately the same size. But you can do this with a knife just as well. Okay. Isn't it pretty?
Do you need a bowl or something?
I've got this one. So. So if we're gonna cut it up, you can see the core has been cut out of here. I just cut beside it. And then we're going to lay it down, and you want to slice it into small shreds is what you want. And try to keep them fairly uniform. This outer leaf isn't going to cooperate. So if you have your cabbage, grab it and let's start cutting. You can hear how nice and crunchy it is. This is going to make some really nice sauerkraut. So we're really busy this week here. I don't know if you guys saw it on Facebook and on Instagram yesterday, but we went over and helped my neighbor harvest his pickling cucumbers. And there was about 80 pounds of cucumbers that were just a little bit bigger than, you know, the prime picking time. And so he sent us home with 80 pounds of pickling cucumbers. So as soon as we finish with the live stream today, then we're going to be making a family effort to try to get all of those packed and put away. It's going to be kind of a big job, but we're pretty tickled about it. So it goes to show just how important, you know, community building is. We've been here for about 3 years, and every year we've worked.
Yeah, now we're getting leg.
Oh, are we? Okay. Every year we've worked in his garden, and every year he's been very, very generous. And somebody's asking if we'll ferment all those pickles. Yes, we are going to do that. So that's kind of exciting. We're gonna have a whole lot. Okay, now as you guys can see, look at how heavy and thick and big that is. That is not going to ferment very nicely. So we're going to take these really big heavy spines and we're gonna leave those ones out. So I've got a couple of them here. Okay. Now you want these to be in bite-sized pieces because otherwise you're not going to want to eat it. So I forgot to go crosswise on the other ones, but you do want to do that. Now I don't know how much it's showing. We always have a bit of a glare here in the kitchen, but there is already a ton of moisture building up on this cabbage, so this is going to really ferment absolutely beautiful. Okay. Here we go. Now we're going to go ahead, we need to get the rest of it done, but you guys have seen how I do it, so I'm going to pull the camera back up. Okay. Thanks for hanging in with me as I need a, what do they call those, a gaffer or a camera boy? Alright. Do we have anything in the chat?
Yeah, someone just asked if use a food processor to slice it.
You could definitely do that. Now, one thing that you need to be careful of is you don't want to beat the living daylights out of it. So if it just slices it really nicely, that would be great. Yeah, when you have uniformity, it really does make it nice. So, all right.
Everyone's having trouble with buffering.
Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. Shoot. In Idaho, or right here where we're at in the summertime, we have all of these great big beautiful trees, and I love them to bits, but they do cause a little bit of connectivity issues sometimes with our internet. So. All right. So one of the reasons reasons that we do sauerkraut is because it's going to have way more strains of bacteria than anything that you can buy in the grocery store. So if you're buying a really great probiotic, you're going to get a lot of benefit from that, but not quite the same as you are if you're making your own sauerkraut. And then if you're growing your own cabbage, here's something that's really exciting, is you have bacteria on the leaves here that you need specifically for your area. So, you know, our soils are full of various bacterias and, you know, bad bacterias and good bacterias. But if you have healthy, rich soil, then the beneficial bacterias are going to outweigh the bad ones, and you're going to gain benefit from all of that. So that's something that's super neat. There was a question that just went by, babe. Can you see what that was? So you can actually get localized.
Is there a way to do long term, like over winter fermenting?
Yes. So the more salt you use, the slower that it ferments. But sauerkraut should keep for you long term. Now the thing that's really important about this is you need to have a storage place that stays under 50 degrees. And my storage place kind of goes back and forth. It will come up sometimes to like 55, and then a little later in the year it'll drop below that. So I've had a little bit of trouble storing mine long term without putting it in the fridge. But after the fermentation period, which on sauerkraut lasts for about anywhere from 2 to 10 or 12 weeks, then you can take that and you can throw it in the fridge, and it will absolutely keep for at least a year without any trouble. But if you have a place that's below 50 degrees, then you can just store it there and it'll keep downstairs or wherever that spot is.
Kind of was wondering if you wash the cabbage beforehand.
I rinsed off the outside because there was some dirt on it, but other than that, no, you don't have to wash. It's good to go buy organic cabbage if you're going to be making this at home. So make sure you give that a try. Okay. Hi, Bonnie.
She's wanting to know if you can show her how large to chop it.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let me show you a couple of the shreds here. Now you can do it smaller than this. When I chop it by hand, and because it's not a super dense cabbage, then these pieces are a little bigger. Alright, so it's about the size of my pinky finger. I would say anywhere from 1/8 of an inch up to a half an inch will still be fine. But the main thing is that you want them to be pretty even, because then they'll all ferment at the same rate. That's the most important.
She's asking if she needs a special jar or crock, which maybe will cover.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. I've almost got this cabbage cut up. This is a big old cabbage. So I'm just working my way around the core. If you're just tuning in, I did move the camera down, so if you want to go back to the replay, you can watch all of that happen.
And can you can it?
Okay, yes, you can it. You are able to can it. But I would strongly discourage you from doing that, just because you will kill all of your probiotics if you do that. So it'll keep indefinitely if you can it, but you will kill all of your probiotics. So it would be better, and I know this is hard if you have a garden, but it would be better if you do it on kind of a rotation, where you do a couple at a time, and then a few weeks later you do a couple more, so that you have a steady supply of it. And that way you're not trying to keep it long term if you don't have a place to store it. Although there's a lot of ways to store cabbage down in your root cellar. So, if you don't have the 50 degree, you can throw it, you can store your cabbages for quite a while. And you could spread out your fermenting over in probably a month or two by doing that, and that should help. if you're worried about, you have a garden. Or if you are in a milder climate, then you don't have to pick your cabbage through the winter. It can overwinter outside. We're way too cold up here for that. We can't do that, but that would be a possibility in some places.
Faithful Healthy Homestead asks, how long will that size cabbage last your family?
So, we have a really hard time letting it sit for the whole time to ferment because we're impatient and we just want to eat it. So it will, but if I do, then we like it even better once it's really fully cured and everything, fully fermented. I would say probably about 2 weeks if I just let the kids go for it. If I do a flavor that they really like, then I will, it could last us a week. So it just kind of depends on how much I tighten the reins on them or how much I let them loose. All right.
Your mom says that when I tell you the question, you repeat it so they can
Oh, okay.
know what you're answering.
Thank you. Yes, I will repeat the questions. Thank you. All right. So you can see the bin is getting filled up here. I'm going to go ahead. There's a tiny little bit left, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that, getting that done here. Okay. She also says, Faithful Healthy Homestead says, do you eat fermented food at every meal? We're a larger family and we try, but it goes so fast. Yeah, so we definitely are not eating it at every meal. Man, I would love to get to that point. I try to pull it out for most dinners. And the thing that's, it's all delicious and it's wonderful and it's got so much health benefits to it, but you really only need a tablespoon to get the probiotics that you need of a really well-cured sauerkraut.
Mama, keep forcing it.
Oh, just ask him to not, okay?
Okay.
All right. So that's something that you might consider, that if you can make it last a little bit longer, but let's see.
You need to settle down.
Yeah, she says that she does it in quarts, and that way, she says, I do it in quarts so they can cheat and eat some early and still have some. Yeah, I totally understand that. So with my kids, I have to kind of keep a tight rein on them, and we will do things like that so that we have portion control. So, because if I really let them go hog wild, they will. So how great is that, though, that you're raising your kids in a way that they want to eat fermented foods? I mean, that's something to be super proud of. So, way to go. Okay. And yeah, there's a few things people are asking if about if you can can it. That does kill the probiotics. So, you still have a wonderful, yummy product that you can put away, but you're not going to get the gut benefits from it that you really want. So if that's all you can do, you're still going to get some benefit. And I wouldn't discourage you from doing it. But if you're able to store it without doing that, then even better. Okay. All right. Hi, Michael. I'm glad you made it. Okay, guys, I finally got that gigantic cabbage cut up. Maybe I should have cut up part of it, but I wanted you to see how big and beautiful it was. So, okay, we've got it all filled up. I don't remember, this like a 10-quart thing or something. So we've got it all in here, and I'm trying to pull out the pieces that are really heavy or that just didn't come out a good size. But we've got fairly uniform cut up. And like I said, if you use a mandolin slicer, or like some people commented, maybe a food processor, if you've got really sharp blades, that will make it really nice and even. All right. So now this is the part that I might startle some of you guys. I'll make sure I give you a recipe, I'll give you math, but this is another, I want to give you one more tip here. We're going to start salting it. And the fun thing about sauerkraut is that you know, you can undersalt it, so you might the first few times want to measure until you start to get a feel for it. But you can't really oversalt it, except that it would taste saltier than what you want. So I weighed this cabbage before I did it, and it was nearly 7 pounds before I cut it up. And I took a little bit out for the core, but not very much. So I'm going to grab my measurement here. So there's a few different rules of thumb. You can approach this however you want. Go ahead and look up and see what you think is best for you. Play around and see what you like the taste of. A lot of people will say 1 tablespoon of salt per pound of cabbage, but you can also go up to like 1.5 tablespoons. So it kind of depends on how fast you want it to ferment and what you like just personally, what taste you like. All right. So I'm measuring salt down here. I've got 3. I'm going to lose count. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
How do you store it after fermenting?
Okay, that's a great question. You can keep it in the jar that you fermented it in, or you can move it into just a plain mason jar. If you have fridge space, that's going to be the best. If you don't, then it depends on how quickly you eat it. If you're going to eat it within a day or 2, you can leave it on the counter. But if you're going to want to use it over a longer period of time, while you're using it, go ahead and keep it in the fridge. But if you fermented it and you want to store it on the shelf for a while, as long as you have below 50 degrees storage, if you have a cold storage or a cellar or something like that, then you can store it there for up to a year. So it really depends on the temperature and what you have available. All right, so we have 7 tablespoons here, which is about, it's almost half a cup of salt. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna, let's see, maybe I'll go ahead and move the camera again for you guys. Okay. Oh, I hate how our lights have those harsh highlights. All right, I'm gonna start sprinkling the salt. You can't even see it, can you?
We're gonna start using their lights or something.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. Move it under the camera a little better. Okay, so we're just sprinkling the salt all over the whole thing. Now there's 2 schools of thought on this as well. Some people say that you have to take a big old heavy pounder and you gotta beat this stuff. I took a class from somebody that has made it commercially, and they said that makes mushy sauerkraut and it doesn't have as nice of an end product. So if you are a little more patient and you let the water just be drawn out naturally by the salt, then you don't have to do that. So if you guys missed it, after you cut it up, you want to weigh it. So use a little food scale and weigh your cabbage. I weighed it before I started, and I had close to 7 pounds, so that's what we're gonna go with. If you're somebody who's uber precise, then go ahead and weigh it exactly after you've gotten everything cut out. But as long as you're at least a tablespoon per pound of salt, then you're fine. It's okay if it goes over a little bit. All right, I'm gonna sprinkle that, and I'm going to just keep mixing and turning, and I'm not smashing, and I'm not like mashing it between my fingers and massaging it. I'm just getting a nice even coating on everything here. So, hi Rain County, or Country, I'm so happy you're here. All right. Oh, Rain Country says that she does kimchi that way and she's never used a pounder. I just use my hands to mix. Yep, you really don't need to. And it'll give you just this really nice, beautiful, crunchy product in the end instead of smashed up cabbage. All right, so you can see it's starting to get real moist. There's a lot of moisture on the outside of the cabbage, and that's exactly what you're looking for. And I'm just gonna mix in some more salt.
Mama, what are you making?
I'm making sauerkraut.
Wow, this is ready?
one?
Sure.
Okay, here you go. Annabelle came to say hi.
I think
There you
Bonnie
go.
missed to talk about the kind
I
of salt
want
to
you
use.
dirty.
Okay, Annabelle. Yeah, you can have that one. Go ahead. It's fine. Okay, so the salt that we're using on this is a sea salt. Make sure that you use either sea salt or a Himalayan salt or a real salt. Do not use iodized salt. And if you're doing something like what we did with the pickles last week, then make sure that you are not using chlorinated city water, but that you are using either well water or that you if you let your chlorinated city water sit out overnight, that's fine. The chlorine will dissipate, but you don't want to use it straight out of the tap. So we don't need any water for this because you can see this cabbage has all the water that we need. It's going to create its own brine, and it's just absolutely beautiful. You can see how much moisture there is in that. Michael asked if pink Himalayan salt would work well. Yes, it will work great, and you'll get all those wonderful minerals and everything. Oh,
Your right hand.
my hand?
Right.
Oh, thanks. All right.
If you wear a net.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of vessels you guys can ferment in. This is my new find and something that I absolutely love. This is a 2-quart jar. It's made by, now I never can say this, but it's Bromelio Rococo or something like that. They're Fido jars, F-I-D-O. You can't really see, but it says Fido right there. And so we're gonna pack it all in here. Now the cool thing about this is with this seal that it has right here, we need to make sure, or the thing that's so cool about that is that it's going to allow the gases to pass through and escape from here so you don't have to burp. But what it will not do is allow the oxygen to go back in. So we want to make sure oxygen doesn't get in here. Now we're going to be careful to get it pressed down below the brine as much as possible, but we don't have to worry about it being something where everything is, with a weight and everything like that. So these jars are absolutely a lifesaver. Now if you're not using these jars, let me show you. Let's say we're using...
You can say you're visible now.
What?
So we can say you're visible now.
Oh, we had a troll. All right. So if you're using a mason jar and you're going to pack this, then what you're going to do is you're going to smash it all down in there, and you've got to make sure you've got a weight on there and you've got some kind of something on the top, whether it's mason tops or pickle tops or whatever they are, that allows the gases to escape. So it's much harder to do it in a plain mason jar as opposed to these ones. And there's a few reasons why I like the Fido, and this was introduced to me in a class that I took recently. They are made in Italy, so the glass is super high quality. Be really careful if you guys are just going and buying any old one of these jars, because most of them are made in China. So get something that's made in Italy, made in Germany, made in the US. Those are the 3 places that I trust for glass. If it's not made in one of those places, then leave it there. It's not worth it. You don't want lead leaching into your foods. So these are really sturdy, really high quality. They can really handle it. And the amazing thing is I got this one for $8. So they're on sale this week and from Amazon, and I couldn't be more tickled because they have a blue top too. The other thing you can get, you can get a ceramic crock. Make sure that you guys are using the new ones because the old ones have lead in the glaze. So make sure you're buying current ones, and make sure that you're using a stoneware weight or a glass weight. That's really, really important if you're using those. And make sure if you're using something like that, that you have something over the top, like put a piece of fabric over to make sure that no bugs can get in, because they will mess everything up. All right, so are you guys ready to pack it? Oh, asking for the jar again. Okay, so I will link this below. I need to get an affiliate link. I don't have it yet, so thank you for asking, Heidi. It's Fido. It's really hard to see here, but it's F-I-D-O. And if you just punch in Fido jar on Amazon, then they'll pop right up and they're absolutely wonderful. So I'm gonna move the camera down and we'll stuff it, and you guys will be amazed at how much we can fit into one jar. It's so fun. Annabelle brought it up. we've got toys on the set, so. All right. Hi, Mark. Oh, good. He's looking up the jars. Good job. Okay. And I have a link on my Facebook page if you guys don't want to go searching for it. It's on my Facebook, on the Road to the Farm Facebook page. Okay, here's our jar, and we are going to start stuffing it in. And I always make the biggest mess with this, you guys. You can see everything's mixed really well, everything's wet. And for the sake of not getting it all over the entire kitchen during the live stream, I'm going to go like this. My jar's clean, so I'm not contaminating anything here. Alright, now once you've gotten some in there, you're going to start smashing it down. And this is different than the pounding. The pounding is where you take a tamper and you just start beating it. This, you're just going to want to press it down to get as much of the air out as you can. Okay. Heidi says, toys are okay as long as there's no Legos to step on. In our house with 4 boys, there are always Legos to step on everywhere. And yeah, that is what came out to the kitchen, Legos. So, see all the fun you guys miss if you're not here during the live stream? If you're watching on the replay, then you wouldn't see all that. All right. So I've heard several people recommend this, and I'm just going to pass this on to you guys. If this isn't the option that is perfect for you, try this other one. A lot of people are recommending mason tops, pipes, and pebbles. It's really easy as well. So, hey, baby doll.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Have this.
Okay, I'll have that one. So I'm just going to keep smashing it in there.
Mom, let me see it. I can't see it.
You can't see it? Yeah. Look, there, right there. Come over here. Over here. You want to say hi?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Someone mentioned how nice it is to be able to fit your hand in here. So if you're trying to do this and you're using a quart jar, it is so much harder to pack it in here.
Can I see it?
But this has a big open top.
Mom, let me see.
What are you looking for? Oh, the salt? Okay,
Yeah.
be careful there, sweetie.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Marie,
Me,
I
I
got a
think.
question.
Okay, what's that? Oh.
What?
Okay, what's the
Oh,
difference
yeah.
between, what are the pros and cons on the
Jars
jar
you're
I'm using?
versus the pipes and pebbles.
You know, I've used the pickle pebbles before as the weights, and I haven't used the pipe that goes with it. So I'm not going to be able to weigh in on that top, But somebody who does recommend them and uses them says one big pro for this would be the big open wide mouth on the jar. And it is so nice. It makes, especially when we were packing the pickles last week and like what we'll be doing today, it makes it so easy to get everything in there. And it's so carefree. Thank you guys for putting a link off or on the live chat. That's so thoughtful. Yeah. Okay. So we're just gonna keep smushing it down in there. And that was a big old cabbage, so I have some left over, but
Oh, no.
as it ferments, it's all gonna kind of relax. And so that's why you wanna make sure you really get it put in there tight, so that it doesn't relax and then, only have half a jar, because then you're much more susceptible to bad bacteria getting in there. All right, we've almost got it done. And I'm just gonna fill it right at the top of the shoulder there. That's some heavy pieces. All right. Can you say hi?
I want that.
Did you know Grandma's out there? Say hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
Okay. Now as we do this and as it sits, the brine is just going to pull more and more and more out of the cabbage, and it's just going to fill right up. So I'll take some pictures later today and put them on Facebook, but it's already starting to come up. So I can fit my whole fist in there, guys. Let's see. I don't know if the camera can quite pick it up, but you can see, I can't get a good shot of it, but the liquid is starting to really fill up the spaces around the cabbage.
No. That's here.
Now I will say that the homegrown cabbage is a little, this one in particular, the pieces of the cabbage are a little bit tougher, not tougher, thicker, I don't know. They have more body, maybe that's the right way to say it. So it takes a little more effort to push them down in there, but. Mark has a really good question. He's wondering, now if I use a smaller jar, will it, hey, quiet down, Kate. If I use a smaller jar, will it ferment any faster? No, you'll just have a smaller quantity. So if you don't have a big family and you want to do smaller batches, and that's how you'll use it, then definitely throw it into a smaller jar. But it won't speed up the process at all.
Can you read Faithful Healthy Homestead's comment?
Yeah, she says, have you ever tried to let it sit with the salt covered? It sweats and makes packing very nice. Yes, and if I wasn't doing this on the live stream to show you guys, that's exactly what I would do. I would let this sit here for the next hour or two and just have it covered. Here, let me show you what's going on here in the tub. So see all the water that has developed in there? That's what's going to happen in the jar. I'm going to go ahead and just pour it in there. So that's a super tip. If you guys have the time, then just let it sit there and let the salt pull it out, and it's so worthwhile, and it will make packing it much easier. So, all right, I think we're going to go ahead and call that done. If I need to, I will go ahead and smash it a little more later once it's sat for a little bit. But waiting live for an hour for it to sweat would be bad. Yeah, I would feel really bad. I already feel like I've made you guys watch a boring show. All right, I'm gonna rinse my hands.
I wash the dishes.
I'm gonna wash the dishes. No,
Yeah,
not.
wash the dishes.
You have to wait a little bit, okay? Not right now, okay? Not until we're all done. Okay, so you guys, the reason that I did that whole thing live is because I wanted you guys to not see an edited version, but I wanted you to see just how simple that really is. We have a whole jar that is packed and ready to go, and the brine is starting to fill up all of the air spaces in there, and that is all we have to do. It's so simple. Now, our last jar that we did, I let it sit for about a week because we had a guest who really loves sauerkraut, and so I just couldn't wait to open it. This one we're gonna let sit for at least 3 more weeks. Okay. So there you go. There it is. It's so fun. So if you haven't ever tasted sauerkraut, live home fermented sauerkraut is so different than getting the stuff at the grocery store. So don't go buy the stuff from the grocery store unless you're gonna buy Bubbies or something that is raw and is live to taste it. Just make your own, and you guys will really love it. So
would it be a brine overflow?
Yes, actually that's a really good point. So no, you do not fill it with water because the salt is pulling it out of the cabbage, and I wish that the camera could really pick it up, but it's not catching it. It's already full to about right here right now, but it's going to fill completely up as the salt draws the moisture out of the cabbage, so don't add any water. And then what you're gonna do, babe, can you hand me the cookie sheet or something there? Now what you're going to want to do is this sets for the next 3 days or so. It's going to bubble and gurgle, and if you have this kind of a jar, the last batch that we did right here at the back is where it was releasing the gases. It's okay, it's fine. It'll start releasing the gases, and you might get some bubbles that form on the outside of the jar, and that's okay. So it's going to keep pushing stuff out, and I just rinsed it every once in a while. But what you're going to want to do is take something like this and let it sit on a tray, and that way it can catch everything. So we'll set that aside, and it'll just sit there, and you can rinse it off every day, and it'll work great.
Look, Mommy.
Yeah, there's you and Mommy. Oh, I love you. Okay, there was one that got past me, huh? Okay, do I know how to make kombucha? I do know how to make kombucha, and our family loves it, and they really like it when we do a second ferment with grape juice.
Okay.
That's their favorite. But if you guys want kombucha information, I don't have any on my channel right now. I want to send you over to Blake Kirby over on Daddy Curb's farm. Hey. Over there, he has the most awesome kombucha videos. So I will put the link to Daddy Curb's kombucha videos if that's something you're interested in. He's a good friend, and I would absolutely send you over there so that you can check that all out and learn from the master. He's so good. Okay, what the heck is that, babe?
It looks like we're getting...
Well, it looks like we got popular. Hello, Israel. All right. So
It's just non-stop scrolling.
yeah, you can't keep up with that.
Oh,
So it looks like our live feed has been hijacked. I guess we became visible today. So I wanted to just put all this out there. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the method real quick as we finish up. And I'm sorry, I probably am not going to be able to capture any questions with this going crazy right now. So if you guys have questions, I'm sorry. Go ahead and try. We're going to try to see if we can get this under control. So anyway, let's repeat the process. You take a cabbage, you're going to cut it up small, and you can cut it up with a knife, you can cut it on a mandolin, you can cut it in a food processor, and then you're going to put it in some kind of a vessel or some kind of a bin or bowl or something where you can fit the whole thing in, and you're going to put about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of salt for every pound of cabbage. And then you're going to want to sprinkle that all over. And the fun thing is that if you taste it, it should taste about like a Lay's potato chip. So I've been told that you can get to the point where you don't have to measure, you just taste it and you'll know that that's just right. So you'll get to where you know exactly what it is. So let's see, what else? Then after you've salted it and you've massaged it, if you have real heavy pieces of cabbage, then you're going to want to let it set aside for about an hour, and then it'll kind of become limp and it'll be ready for you to stuff in your jars. If it was something where it you've got real fine shreds and you can pack it, then just pack it right away. Make sure you smash it down in there. Don't be rough, just push it good and hard. What? Okay, but you gotta be quiet, okay? Push it in good and hard so that you get rid of as many air bubbles as possible. Then you're gonna set it aside on a cookie sheet after you've closed it up. Now we're doing this with Fido jars, so all we have to do is close the lid, and that's super easy. And you're gonna wanna set it aside. Keep a cookie sheet under it because you are going to have some overflow. It's not going to be a lot, but there is a little bit, and that way you're not having to wipe up messes from your counter. So that's the whole process. It's so easy, so fun, so delicious. Now we're going to let it sit on the counter for about 3 weeks. It can be anywhere out here on the counter. And then if you want to store it, make sure that you put it somewhere where it is dark and less than 50 degrees. So if you have dark storage and less than 50 degrees, then go ahead and set that aside, and you can keep it there. If not, then you need to put it in the fridge. So anywhere from, you can go from 3 weeks all the way to 12 weeks for the fermentation time. So just, you know, you're gonna have to kind of play with it and see what you guys like. So it looks like I need to get some more moderators so that we don't get hijacked. We're gonna go ahead and say goodbye and close this all off, or should we stay on and so you can get them all banned?
I don't know.
Oh, this is
Almost
new.
all of them, I think.
Okay, I wonder, hey, Rain County, or Country, oh, why do I always say your name wrong? Rain Country, I am adding you as a moderator. Do you mind if you have a minute jumping on and deleting some of those people?
Just make sure we don't accidentally take out the actual.
Okay,
Was Odell Damari one?
thank you so much. No. No. What?
Waffle.
Okay, no, not right now, sweetie. We got to finish up here. So it looks like we've got it somewhat taken care of. I am going to go ahead and stay live and get all these people banned so that they're not on the next live stream. So I think we've gotten it down to a low enough level here. If you guys have questions, go ahead and we'll open it up for questions right now. What?
There's a waffle.
They're all gone, baby. I want you, unless you have some on the table. Okay?
Okay.
All right. You guys, thank you so much for stopping by. This has been super fun. Oh, I didn't show you guys the pickles. I'm going to show you the pickles. Okay, so this is after a week. Now, you notice the brine, it gets really cloudy, and sometimes you'll see like white sediment on the pickles. That is something you're supposed to have, so that is great. Oh, okay, you go have that one.
Yay.
So I'm going to open it up so you guys can see it. Heidi, thank you for the help. I appreciate that. Okay, so here's the grape leaves, and those you can, Wendy, I'm going to come right back to your question, okay? Those you can eat if you want to, and the pickles are so delicious. When you first open this up, you're gonna kind of want to hang on to it because it's gonna go poof and let out a whole bunch of gases and stuff. All right. What does the cabbage look like after a week or so? Okay, that's a good question. I will grab that. I've got one in the fridge that I can show you. So these pickles are crunchy. They are delicious. They are so yummy. So if you guys want details on these, we did them last week. They're so good. And when you, another thing I love about these jars, when you are first opening a ferment, you can have a lot of build-up pressure in there. Yes, you can use red cabbage. Red cabbage is supposed to be amazing. So with these jars, you can let it go to this point, and it will let the gases escape, but you won't have your lid flipping off. So that's something, another thing I love about these. Let me grab the cabbage and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what it's going to look like after about a week. And then it's just going to continue to compress, and it'll soften quite a bit. So it's pretty good. So we can go back and check everybody that we've banned. So if somebody gets banned on accident, I'll go back and make sure they're none of our subscribers. So don't worry about that, guys. All right, so there it is. That is after about a week, and it'll look about that same when it's done. Okay, somebody says I've made sauerkraut with red cabbage and it tastes just as good. Yeah, I've heard really good things about using red cabbage, and red cabbage with onions is supposed to be really good, and red cabbage with onions and apples is supposed to be really good. So, all right. You guys are great. Thank you, Heidi, for the help. Thank you, Jessie. That was quite a thing to try to take back our live chat. All right, that one too. All right, guys. Yeah, just get rid of that one. All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You guys are wonderful. I'm so tickled that you are here. This has been a great time. And I'm gonna try to do some recaps on some of these live shows and make an edited version for everybody who has a hard time sitting through the live shows, but they'll have to happen a little bit at a time, as we are about to cut up 80 pounds of pickles, or well, cucumbers, and we're gonna pack them. So we'll be posting updates on Instagram and on Facebook and all of that. So make sure you follow there. If you haven't seen it yet, head on over and grab our muffin and waffle cookbooks. They are so wonderful. We are absolutely loving these recipes, and so are you guys. I've had so many people purchase them and say such kind things, so that is great. So Grizz, it's so fun to have you here. We've missed you, and we will talk to you all again soon. Thank you for coming. Bye.